Hey, sister. Today on the Girl Defined show, I have an extra special treat for you guys for all of my organizers out there, or those of you who are like, I want to be organized. My house is a wreck. I need help. My laundry's piled. My dishes are always overflowing. I don't have good rhythms for keeping anything clean. Then you're in luck today because I am talking to someone who is, I think she's an expert because compared to me, she's definitely an expert. Someone who has an amazing Instagram page helping us as women learn how to do this well. Deb VonBergen is with us today, and she's going to be sharing all of her best tips and tricks for how we as women can practically manage our homes well. And I'm the first to raise my hand to say, I need help with that. And if you feel that too, then stick around because this is going to be super practical and really helpful, something you can put into practice today. Deb, thank you for having this conversation with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Okay, your Instagram page is so inspiring. All of your reels, just like little tips, like, okay, the best way to clean your microwave or like the easiest way to clean your shower. And my mind is always blown as I'm watching your reels and I'm thinking, that is so simple and so easy. And I've been doing it the hard way for the last 15 years. Deb, where have you been? I need you. So thank you for being here and imparting some of your wisdom. But I have to ask right off the bat, have you always been this organized, this decluttered, this simplified, or is this something that came along later in life?
Yeah. So I would say I'm in between. I started as I've always been more of a clean person, but I wouldn't say I've always been organized. That's always been something I've struggled more with. And so that is definitely newer on the scene for sure.
Okay, so what does that mean being you were clean but you weren't organized? Like you had piles of stuff and you would just like clean the piles or in my mind I'm thinking they're the same but they're not. So what's the difference?
Right. Okay. So I would do the dishes and I would vacuum the floors, those kind of things. But my closet was super unorganized. And if you went into it, it looked like it was going to like explode on top of you. Or the laundry, I didn't have a good system for laundry. And so we always had these overwhelming piles of laundry. Just those kind of things that I feel like are more of an organizational thing. I didn't meal plan. I didn't do those kinds of things. So I was always in this state of overwhelm. But if you walked into our home most of the time, it was like semi-clean. So that's how I'd explain it. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good distinction. So then I actually think I do fall a little bit more into the category of a clean person because I actually do like cleaning. I vacuum constantly, counters, but then I don't feel like the organization, like my systems for like, okay, how do I consistently get the dishes done? How do I consistently keep the laundry? I know when my husband's coming to me and he's like, hey, honey, I'm out of underwear again.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, you're out again. Let me just Amazon you some more pairs. Okay. I just don't. And then he'll just, he's so kind. He'll just like, I'll see him take the basket of laundry and just kind of like take it over and start doing it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm such a failure. I just need better systems. The struggle is real. And I think so many of our listeners can relate to that.
Yes.
Leaving your laundry, like the other day, I forgot about the load that I had started and it sat in my washer for a day to the point that it got stinky. So I had to wash it again.
Yes.
And then I did it again. So I washed it 3 times. I'm like, really? Really? But I know I'm not alone in that. The struggle is real. And I think for us as Christian women, this is a topic, a conversation that I think we should care about because we see in scripture that God cares about the home, that God cares about the family. And I think he's given the home and the woman kind of a special connection. We see verses like Proverbs 31:27, which says, she looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. So this special calling for the woman to care about the home, to want to cultivate the home, to want to nurture the relationships in the home. She's not lazy. She's not like, whatever, I don't care, but she cares.
Yes.
And I think for most of us as Christian women, I think we probably deep in our heart care.
Yeah.
Maybe some of us need to care a little more, but I think we do, but we just don't have the tools.
Yes.
And I have felt that way when I got married. Like, I don't feel like I had a ton of great tools. My mom was really organized, so I came in with some good tools from her, but just my own routines, my own rhythms, I don't feel like I had a great system. And as I talk to so many young married women, they're like, yeah, I literally have no idea how to manage my home.
Yes.
Like, I thought it was going to be so easy, but it's so much harder. And then you throw kids into the mix and it's like hard enough just you and your husband. Then you have kids and it's like, how in the world do I do this? So I want this conversation to be so practical with all your tips and tricks, but from that foundational lens of we are Christian women. We
Mm-hmm.
are called to glorify God in all of our work. And I think that includes the way we care for our home, take care of our family, create a peaceful environment, just looking well to the ways of our household, like Proverbs says.
Yes.
So you are going to be our expert giving us tips and tricks on how we can do that from that heart motivation, ultimately to glorify God, but how we can just get better at
Mm.
doing that well. Something that I love that I saw you said, can't remember where you said this, but you said many women feel like their home is controlling them instead of them feeling control of their home.
Mm.
I know I feel that many times. What does that mean?
Yeah, to me, that means, and what I meant by that is that I would wake up in the morning and I would just have this huge to-do list and I felt overwhelmed before I ever crawled out of bed. And I
Mm-hmm.
just had kind of this, I don't know, this realization one day where it's like, I don't want to live my life this way any longer. Why in the world am I letting my day control me? And instead of me
Yeah.
deciding, hey, I have these couple things that I need to do today, and then I'm going to go and do the things I really want to do, the things that are more like kingdom work, like spending time with my children or my husband. And I have been one of those people that would have said, like, I'm just not that way. Like, my personality, I'm just not super organized.
Right.
And I would say things like that until I caught myself being like, wait, I'm in control of myself. Like, Jesus gave us the ability to
Mm.
change the way we are. And so for me, this journey has been a convicting journey of, I don't have to
Mm.
be this way. I get to choose. I get to make choices. I get to learn new things. And so my Instagram more is like taking you along as I learn too.
That's so good and so raw and honest. Oh my goodness. So I was talking to Abby Halberstadt. So she's the author of M is for Mama, has a really encouraging Instagram for moms and wives. And she was saying that so many of us as women, all that you just said, it's like, yes, we want that. But like I said earlier, we come into marriage, we come into our homes so ill equipped. And she was saying so often, like in the workplace, we view it from a professional lens, like, oh, this is my profession. So therefore I need to work hard. I need to learn new skills. I need to take these courses. I need to learn. But then when it comes to the home, she was saying we often switch our mindset to one of like, oh, that's just not my personality.
Yes.
Oh, that's just not me. And almost like we can't learn new
Yes.
skills, almost like a cop out. And she was just encouraging all of the women in our conversation to think of the home just like you would a profession,
Yes.
just like you would your career. Yeah, there isn't the boss giving you, the pay raise or the bonus on, for the great job you did. However, our work is to glorify God,
Yes.
to love and care for our families. And if we thought about it more like a profession, I think we would care more about advancing our skills
Yes.
and growing our tools and thinking more like stretching ourselves, pushing ourselves, not saying, well, that's just not me, but how can I grow and do better at that? And I
Yes.
love that you just shared that.
Yes. Totally.
Okay. So for you, that mindset shift, when did that happen? Was that after, like just a few years ago, or was that like right when you got married?
So I've always been more minimalist, and thankfully I married a husband who's also more minimalist. So I do have that going for me. I know some of you probably are in a different situation where your husbands are more like they love to collect things or they're hoarder type people. My husband is not. And so that has helped me a lot. He also is more organized than me. And this actually created
Wow.
some conflict in our marriage at times where he was more organized, like, don't you think this is important? And I was just more like, well, no, not really. And I'm trying to like do whatever he's asking. But that is part of, for me, what spurred me on is thinking, what can I change about myself that will benefit our home and our marriage and our children? So that has been like a huge thing for me personally.
So switching gears though, like if someone they're feeling that conviction, even right now, we're just thinking, yeah, I have been kind of copping out and just saying like, it's just not me, it's not my personality, but they want to make that switch, and I've been there too. I've said that for sure about the things that I'm like, oh, like laundry really it's my arch enemy. It
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
hard. So I can't wait to hear your tips and tricks on that. But where's a good place to start? Because it can feel pretty overwhelming
Yes.
if you're not an organized person. You never have been. Maybe you and your spouse aren't, or maybe your husband is, and he's like really hoping you'll become more organized. Where do we start? We step back and we look at our house or, our apartment, wherever we're living. What is step
Yeah.
one?
Okay. So this is going to sound crazy, but I want you to listen to this as I say it because this changed everything for me. I wanted to change for a long time, for many years. I wanted to change. I wanted to make differences, and I would search all the Pinterest things and like try to figure out what to do. And I would try them, and it never seemed to change things. This sounds crazy because this doesn't have to do with decluttering or simplification of your life, But really it came down to recently, like in the last year, I really thought through what are my Christian values? Like, what are important to me and to our family? And so my husband and I would talk about it. And I really sat down and thought, what is the life that we would love to live and experience? And does my actions every day, do they match up with those values? One of my personal values and our family's values is freedom. And when I really thought about it, I'm like, I am not creating a space in our home that promotes freedom to do things when we want to like go leave and have fun or whatever. It's not promoting that because I am tied down by my schedule and by all the things I'm putting in. So it was really more of a like this big journey for me of like simplifying here, or actually thinking through it. But what I want, so first I would recommend you figure out what is your personal family values. What do you want your life to look like? And as believers, we don't get to control everything because ultimately Jesus decides, but he has given us this free will to decide what it can look like. And so I really recommend that first as the first step. And then the second thing I would say is figure out what's overwhelming you the most. So if it was laundry for me, and this was truly my first thing to really tackle was the laundry situation. I had like a room in my house filled with laundry on the couch that like never disappeared. And it was like literally my arch enemy, but I didn't know what to do to take care of it. And then I've been like the whole gamut with the laundry, from trying everything on Pinterest to having moldy towels to the loads that have to be repeated over and over and over again. And it was just getting to the point where I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. And there has to be a way to fix this. So start with whatever's overwhelming you the most. It might not be laundry for you. It might be dishes. It might be that you have a closet or whatever that's always overflowing and it drives you crazy, but you never seem to have the motivation to take care of it. Do that first. And you're going to feel so good. And then you can tackle the next thing.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. Well, laundry is what's coming to mind for me too. So start with the thing that's like your biggest burden. It sounds like the biggest hurdle that you feel like is just constantly like a small thorn in my flesh and I need to get a grip on this. Start there and then just kind of slowly inch your way along. So let's just say, let's just theoretically say some of us struggle with laundry as well. And what would you say for me with my laundry situation, which isn't super organized? I don't have a great plan. What do you do for laundry? Because you have how many kids?
We have 2 kids. Yes.
2 kids.
Yeah.
What is a good way to do laundry, to get in a good routine and system with laundry?
Okay, so I know this is going to differ from family to family. This is what works for me. And I have had several friends try it and they are saying it's working for them too. There's 2 things that I do. One is I do 1 load of laundry a day. If I need to do a second, I'll do it, but I do it all the way through. So I used to do laundry day a week where it's like all of my laundry in one day. Super overwhelming by load 3 or 4. We all know that you don't want to pull it out of the dryer and then it sits because you don't want to fold it because you've been switching. So I do 1 load of laundry. I start it in the morning. As soon as I get up, I go ahead and I just throw it in and I wash it, put it in the dryer. And as soon as it comes out of the dryer, I sort it and put it away. So that's my first tip is 1 load. 1 load. And then another day, you'll probably have to do like 1 load in towels or 1 load in sheets. That's cool. Do that. But my second tip, and this is where a lot of people on Instagram, I got a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to share it because it's working so well for us.
Yes, please do.
This is a debate of a debate. We actually, for our kids, do not have dressers. We have those cube storage. You can get them at Target. And then we buy the little cube canvas squares. And our kids do not fold their laundry. We sort them. So as soon as it comes out of the dryer, they just sort it into each person. They take their piles. My kids are 9 and 8. We've been doing this since they were probably 6 and 5. They sort their laundry into the categories and we're done. We don't fold things. And the biggest question everybody has is, so your kids walk around with wrinkles all over or
that was my question. Like, okay, so wait, are they just wrinkled from head to toe? How does that work?
So here's the thing. If you have kids, you know this to be true. You spend a lot of time folding laundry. And if you allow your kids to get dressed themselves, their drawers probably don't stay neat unless they have like a bunch of divisions in them and you spend way too much time folding their laundry. So the answer is no, they don't look wrinkly because kids' laundry is not being folded after the second day anyway. It's a mess in the drawers. So they don't look wrinkly. And if it, for some reason, they have something that like a dress shirt or something on Sunday, I just iron that or steam it and we're good to go.
Okay.
So yeah, it saves so much time.
Wow. I've never heard of
Yeah.
that. I've never heard
Yeah.
of that method of just sorting the laundry and then the kids just put their stuff in their cubicles without just like dump it in, and it works great. Wow.
Perfect.
I mean, that would simplify the whole system. So follow-up question on the load a day. What are you washing every day? Is it just like the current dirty stuff, or do you have a system like one day's whites, one day's colors, one day's this, one day's that, or how does it work?
That's a really good question. And I do not sort by color. But you can get these sheets that will absorb any dyes. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them on Amazon. They work fabulously. So we just do by person. So I wash like my husband and my clothes together, and then I wash each child's together, and then we do the towels, and it works great. And I do sheets every single week. And so one day I'll do all of our sheets.
Wow. You wash the sheets every week. Ooh.
Yes.
I am trying to think about when the last time I washed my sheets. That's so bad. They need to be washed. The time just flies.
It does. And it's not overwhelming when you do one load because you just have a day that you do the sheets. And so it's like every Thursday, you know, like I'm just doing my one load and it's sheets this week, and you're going to feel so accomplished. And who doesn't love getting into a bed with clean sheets? I mean, it's amazing.
Best. It's the best. So do you have a chart? Like Monday is my laundry, Tuesday's the kids, or like how do you know what day you're washing whose stuff?
I don't actually have a chart. I normally just do it by whose pile, like whose hamper is the fullest. But you absolutely could. It would be so easy to have a chart. I just don't. It's such a routine for me now that I just like go into the rooms and our kids don't have enough laundry. Like I wash their clothes once or twice a week, and I do them together. And so it's like a load, probably twice a week. I do a load that's just their clothes. So it works great.
Oh, okay. I'm currently on the once a week routine, at least for my kids, because I have these chore charts for them. And so every Wednesday is laundry day for them. But I don't really have a good system for myself. Hence the reason my husband comes to me regularly. Like, honey, I'm out of underwear again.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Your husband was running out of underwear too.
Absolutely. And t-shirts. And he would come and be like, do I have any? I'm like, I'm sorry. They're in the washer and they're all wet and they've been sitting there for 2 days. So not a good problem.
So could you just not wear underwear and maybe not a shirt today? Sorry.
No, exactly.
Maybe tomorrow. Oh my goodness. Okay. So another huge one for me, and I think for a lot of people, is dishes. They're endless because you're constantly using them. Now we do a variety of paper plates and regular dishes, but we do all like normal silverware and like cups and everything. And I just feel like I always do the dishes at night. At least I try to before bed. But the sink is just constantly full. And I don't know if the goal should be to have an empty sink all the time. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What's your tip for dishes?
I love this question. And I really do think it's a little bit on what you decide is important to you. If you feel like you have most peace when the counter is clean, then I think that you should probably just whip them up every single meal. I do think that's the easiest. And so I actually we don't utilize our dishwasher other than as a drying rack. And here's why. Because the dishwasher for us meant that at the end of the night, you were standing there doing like rinsing and filling up a dishwasher. So what I tend to do is breakfast and lunch together before my husband gets home. And then as soon as dinner's done, we whip up the dinner dishes. And for the most part, our counters are always clean that way. So that's just what we have found to work the best. I really do think, though, it goes down to what's important to you. If dishes are your thing that stresses you out, I'd encourage you to whip them up every meal. It genuinely takes 5 to 10 minutes if you're doing it every meal. So
you're right. It does. When you don't let them pile, they're so much more manageable. Same with the laundry.
Yes.
Smaller amounts are just more manageable. Yes. It really is like 5 or 10 minutes, which, we'll scroll our phone on Instagram for 20 minutes and not even blink an eye.
Absolutely.
But then it's like, I can't spend 5 minutes on the dishes. I mean, I'm speaking for myself here. Like
I know.
it is. It's like such a mindset shift and just like, okay, getting in the habit, it sounds like, of just making it more of a routine that you're just always chipping away at versus waiting till it's so overwhelming and so big. And then like, okay, now I'm going to tackle it. And then it just feels like, like you really don't enjoy it at all.
Totally.
Not that you may ever enjoy the dishes, but okay. Interesting. So you put them in the dishwasher and then you let them dry in there? Yeah. Like, do you leave it open and it kind of airs out or?
Yep. I just leave them open a little bit and let it air out. And then, we put them away for the next meal. So it wouldn't work for everyone. And I fully realize that, but for us, it's brought the most like peace. So Yeah.
That is so cool. Okay, you had mentioned meal planning.
Yeah.
And that is something that I just recently actually started getting my boys. So we have two boys, 12 and 8, and they love cooking and they
Yeah.
always want to be in the kitchen with me when I'm cooking. I don't enjoy cooking. It sounds like I just don't like anything in my home, but I really do love my home. I'm learning to enjoy these things more. But cooking is something that I've never loved, but my boys actually really love it. So I'm involving them more, but I still don't feel like I have a great routine as far as like planning the meals,
Mm.
consistently having the stuff in the fridge. I need to make the meals.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys do? What has been helpful for y'all?
Yeah. Oh man, this is something I'm so passionate about because for this has only been since January 1st. I decided as a resolution, which I'm not normally a resolution girl, but I was like, this is something that has to change. So it
Oh,
changed.
okay. So,
So
this is a newer thing for you that you
totally,
started doing.
totally.
Wow.
So January to now, and I eat more of like we as a family eat more like metabolically supportive diet. So a lot of nutritious, like
We do too.
deeply nourishing foods. And so
Yes.
I tend to, what I started in January is before I do my grocery shopping, I actually will not go grocery shopping. Like I hold myself back until I have the menu planned for that week. But I
Mm.
don't plan breakfast or lunches because our kids go to school. It would be different if you're homeschooling. But I do the same things for breakfast. Like every week we have the same couple things. We have like good cereal, we have yogurts, we have smoothie stuff. Like we have the same thing. Eggs,
Mm.
hard boiled eggs in the fridge. We have the same things every week for breakfast and lunches. And then dinner
Okay.
is the main thing that I plan for. And so that has helped me a lot. I've also been able to cut way back on the amount of money we were spending on groceries because I had a plan.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, ask,
So, do you sit down one day a week and plan all of your dinners for the following week? What does the planning process look like?
yeah. I sit down with my computer and I get on Pinterest and I'll just type in things like nourishing meals for the family. And then I try to always vary it. My husband loves varied foods. And so I try to just
Oh,
vary
he does
it.
too.
And it's been
Hmm.
working so well. So most weeks we don't have the same meal. And then maybe there will be one easy meal, like we'll make homemade pizza or something like spaghetti, something that's really normal, just in case like I'm having a stressful day or whatever. We're in a hurry, so I know what to make. But yeah,
Oh, okay. That's really helpful. You do not go to the store until your list is finalized.
correct. And I
Like,
have it on my
that's your
phone
rule.
notes, and I just walk through our store and I just delete it off my phone notes as I have it. And that has helped me a lot. And like I said, it has saved us hundreds of
Yes.
dollars.
Wow. And then when you go to cook that meal, it's interesting. It's different. My
Yep.
husband has expressed the same thing. He's like, I love variety because I was getting in these ruts where I was like cooking the same
Yep.
thing every 3 days because I would just buy like the basic ingredients.
Totally.
I would have no recipes, no plan. I just like the stuff. And then I would kind of end up making the same thing again and again. And so he was so sweet, just like, oh, like, thank you, like so gracious and thankful for my efforts, but kind of like, oh, like,
Yep.
what if we had this one
Yes.
night? Just
Yes.
suggest other options. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, maybe mixing it up a little would be good.
Yes.
So having a plan and then having the stuff in your fridge so you can actually make
Yes.
those things.
Yes. It's so
That's
easy.
so
At dinner
good.
time I'm never stressed because I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're having this tonight." And I
Yeah.
just get started and it's been wonderful for sure.
Okay, briefly tell us what metabolic is because we eat metabolically too, but people who listening might be like, what in the world? They both just said like metabolic. What does that mean? Like, give us a nutshell of what like the kind of meals like that you focus on for the nourishing nutrients and all
Yeah,
that.
so I am not a sciencey person, so describing metabolic to people
Yeah.
is a little hard for me. But the way that we go about it is I try to have a really healthy protein, a good carb, like a good healthy carb, and then a healthy fat at pretty much every meal that we eat. And so that can look like we're having like maybe a hash, like a ground beef with some root vegetables that are really good healthy carbs, and then we have fruit and something else. I love to cook this way, and I've found that it's just really easy. You think good hearty carbs
Yeah.
and good proteins. I don't know what else to. I We do a lot of raw milk.
Yeah.
We do a lot of raw kefir.
Yes.
Um,
Yep, we do
which
too.
is probably weird to some people, but that's been really easy for us. My earphones keep dropping out. I'm sorry. Um,
Oh no, you're fine. No worries. Yes. Okay. So just nourishing
yeah,
that, yes, those macronutrients,
absolutely.
your carbs, your fat, your protein. That's been revolutionary for
Same.
us. Like if anyone listening wants to know more, just Google like metabolic. I know you can get a variety of stuff, but just think of really balancing your meals, having just like for your blood sugar, for your gut, for everything to process. Our bodies do so much better when we have those balanced portions of those
Yes.
macronutrients. I've seen
Yes.
huge improvements in my
I have
health,
as well.
in my
Yes.
boys, just cutting out all the junk and like the sugar, but doing healthy versions of like sweet snacks
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. Like it's been really good for us.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got to fly through a few. You can
Yep.
just give us like your bullet answer, and then guys, go check out her Instagram. What's your handle again on Instagram?
It's the Deb Von B. So it's the Deb and then VonBee.
Okay, that's so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw in your one of your reels you talked about the timer trick.
Yes.
What is the timer trick?
Oh my goodness. I love this trick so much. And this is revolutionized. This is probably the first thing that I did way before I simplified things. And that is that I tended to procrastinate. So like, oh my goodness, I need to clean up the kitchen, but I don't want to. So I'm going to scroll for 5 more minutes. And
Yes.
I utilized this rule of using a timer and racing myself. And even if you're not a competitive person by nature, this works so well. So I look at my kitchen and I evaluate like, how long do I think this is going to take me? And I try to deduct like 5 minutes. So I think it's going to take me 20. So I set my timer for 15. And then I set it. And the second I click start, I go to the room that needs to be done. This has,
Whoa.
I use this daily, truly daily, because
Really?
literally every day I'll be like, okay, I need to clean up the house. I'll like get our kids involved and like turn the timer on. Like, okay, kids, let's clean up everything in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And it works so well. But for me, I don't even know how to put it into words. It's almost been like an emotional thing because where I was procrastinating, now I feel so motivated and I feel like I've achieved something when I see the timer go off and my kitchen is like sparkling clean. So,
wow.
yeah.
So for competitive people or just not, if you're not, maybe this will help you just to get a task done. It sounds like to keep you focused, like instead
Absolutely.
of, getting lost in this thing and that
Yes.
thing. And before you know it, it's like an hour later and you've barely done anything.
I would
I know I can for sure relate to that.
Yeah. And I would say even more than competitive, like obviously it's fun, but I would say more than competitive, it really is if you find yourself procrastinating, which we know procrastination is our emotions tied to what we're doing. So if you find yourself as procrastinating, which most of us do on housework, it alone could change so much for you. Because you can just set the timer and get it done and you feel it's like a endorphin like boost.
Yes. I am going to try that. We have little timers. I have them for the kids for different things that they need to do or, okay, go read this book for 20 minutes, whatever. I'm going to try it on myself and see how that goes. I'm going to take your tip, Deb. I'm going to do it. Okay. With the time we have left, a few more questions. I want to hear about your favorite tips for decluttering. I know most of us have way too much stuff and then we end up with piles everywhere because we don't know what to do with it. We don't know where to put it. What do you recommend for decluttering, for simplifying things?
Yes. So this is a journey. And I really think that you need to give yourself grace. If whoever's listening to this, if you find yourself with a lot of stuff, give yourself grace. And I encourage I have a bunch of them on my Instagram, or you can look on Pinterest. There's so many decluttering challenges where you can like do one thing a day. But I would start with something that's, again, not overwhelming to you. So maybe you're like, oh, I just have so much stuff in my house. Start with your bookshelf and be like, what is 10 books? What can I get rid of? And take it to Goodwill. My tip is always to be don't overwhelm yourself, or again, we fall into procrastination because our brain's trying to keep us from something that feels unsafe or something that feels not fun. So don't overwhelm yourself. But for me, it started with, again, figuring out what matters to me. Do I really love when I walk into my house? Do I feel like I'm calm and at peace? And so many of us have so much stuff that we don't feel like that at all. So that's my first tip, is figure out what's important to you and then start with something small and move on to bigger and bigger things. The other tip that I would say, one of the biggest things for me was I found that when I would go to the store, I would see something. I'd be like, oh my goodness, that's so cute. And I would get it. Or I would be like, oh, I think we need one of these. And so I would get it. And I started like having duplication of things in my home or things that I just didn't need. So now I try to not go to the store unless I have a list of this is exactly what I need. And that has cut down so much on the extras that then aids you
Ooh.
in your decluttering process, because it's pointless to start on decluttering if you're bringing new things into your home as you're getting rid of
Yeah.
things. So yeah, you can ask
Yes.
more if you have more, but those would be probably my top two.
Yeah. No, those are so good. What about for clothes? Like, one of the rules we have in our house that my husband and I established a while ago is that once we run out of coat hangers, like hangers for our clothes, that means we have too many,
Yes.
like too many clothes. And so we're not buying more hangers. We're actually going to get rid of clothes. And for us, that's like our hard stop of, okay, it's time to get, garbage bag and start donating things to Goodwill.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's a good method or not. I still feel like my closets are always like jam packed. And I don't know what's a good method for just getting rid of old clothes that we don't wear. Maybe we bought it new and it still has the tags, but we've never worn it, but it's just taking up space,
Yes. My rule is if I haven't worn it for like if it's not in season, if I didn't wear it the season before, so if it's summer and it's winter and I'm like I didn't wear that all last summer, I get rid of it. I'm going to tell you another trick that is newer to me, but I feel is so beneficial. And that is to look into we actually know this, I think inherently, but we just don't always act on it. And that is, what colors do we feel the best in? And so there are some shirts that you're going to always gravitate to because you feel confident as a woman wearing that color or that shirt or that dress, and you feel good in it. And so you always pick those. So often the clothes that we don't wear are the ones that we kind of deep down know, like, doesn't make us feel really good inside.
Interesting.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do when I go into my closet is if I look at a shirt and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that shirt. It's so cute. And then I'm like, wait, but I never choose to wear that shirt. I get rid of it. I just get rid of it because I know, like,
do you just get rid of it then? Or do you make a pile of like stuff that I'm going to take to Goodwill? Or like when you say get rid of it, what does that mean?
You're right. I would say that I almost always use the Poshmark app and I sell my clothes on Poshmark.
Oh, yes. Okay. I know people who do that
or
too.
you can do a Facebook.
So you're actually making money.
Or you can do Facebook or Instagram or whatever. There's so many ways to do it. But I try to sell them if possible. But that is my rule. And that has helped me like so much because I used to buy a lot of cute clothes that I would see and be like, oh, that's so cute. And I would buy it and then I wouldn't wear it. And this color, like look into color seasons. It's so much fun. And you'll learn what colors actually look good on you. And then you never should buy something if it's not in your color season because you are not going to gravitate towards it. Isn't that crazy?
It's so interesting. Well, even as you were saying that, I was thinking about, I did the seasonal color thing, whatever it's called, years ago. And I think I can't remember, but it's whatever, like the colors that are more the browns, the neutrals, the less of like the bright yellow and bright pink. I don't even know what season that was. Like more fallish, I guess. I don't know. More like the warm creams, like light browns. I don't know. But those are the colors that I often gravitate towards in my closet. And then the ones like the other colors, like you're talking about, I'm even thinking about some shirts like, oh, that's so cute, but how come I like never really want to wear it? Like I don't really ever wear that cute shirt.
And that's why.
But I think you're right. I think it has to do with the color.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
so
subconscious.
Okay, well now I know what to get rid of. I have some clear direction. Okay, wrapping things up, what are your favorite cleaning products? Like what are some must-have cleaning products and tools that just make cleaning easier?
Oh, I love this. Okay. So I actually almost exclusively utilize Thieves Cleaner, which most people know about Thieves, and I don't rep the company, but I'm sure everyone knows a Young Living rep. I love Thieves Cleaner because it's so cheap. But if you want to go a different route, I would say you can do vinegar and you can use vinegar for basically everything, white vinegar. We personally are pretty much totally non-toxic. The only thing that I still use is toilet bowl cleaner. And I just use whatever I get at Walmart. The Works is normally my favorite one. But other than that, I use vinegar or I use Thieves Cleaner for everything.
Wow. And do you clean every day?
Yes.
Do you clean, like, how does your cleaning work, your cleaning routine to keep things like, the toilet, the floors, the mirrors, to keep all those, like the counters and stuff clean?
So here's another decluttering. It kind of goes into the decluttering / simplification. But something that I realized is that so often I was putting off cleaning because I would have to go to the cleaning cupboard and get out all of my cleaning supplies and then clean.
Yeah.
So what we did is we went to Walmart and we bought like $1 spray cans that are so like they're plastic, they're cheap, whatever. But if they break, who cares? And then we did thieves
Mm-hmm.
cleaner in them. You could also do water with some essential oils, or you could do vinegar in them. Vinegar just smells. And so that's why I don't choose to always use it. But
Yeah.
thieves cleaner works great. So what we did is we keep one thing of paper towels and a bottle of thieves cleaner under both bathroom sinks and then in our kitchen. And almost every single day we spray off our mirrors, we spray off our toilet, our sinks, because it's right there. And I timed myself one time, and it takes about 3 minutes to spray the whole bathroom down.
Wow.
But it's
way.
It's just because it's right there. And so if you have it right there,
yeah,
that is what I use. And then if you probably saw the shower trick, but it's also keeping a bottle in your shower while you're taking a shower. You use your washcloth or whatever, you have one in there, and you just wipe everything down while you're in the shower. That's completely amazing. Naked. You don't care about getting wet, and it works so good.
And you're using non-toxic cleaning supplies, so you're not concerned like, oh, I'm spraying bleach on my feet or whatever. It's all safe if it gets on your skin or whatever. Oh my goodness, that's so amazing. Okay, how do you stay motivated day after day? That's my last question, because I need to know how you do this day after day and stay after it.
I would say that I was not motivated the way I was living before. And that was kind of I would read about the Proverbs 31 woman, and it's like, she's so clearly such a hard worker. And by nature, I am a very determined type person, but I found that I was procrastinating on our home continuously. And I felt like I had to get to the root of, why am I so resistant to doing things that I should be doing as a wife and a mother? Or it just seems so natural, but yet I'm resisting it.
Yeah.
And so motivation really came from simplifying. The less stuff I had in our home, the more I realized I enjoyed cleaning our home, because I'm not cleaning around a million different things. I took a lot of, we don't have a ton of decor in our home. We have a little bit, but we don't have a ton. And it just reduced so much of what I was doing down to the actual things that mattered to me. And so I feel motivated because I learned that peace and calmness is important to me, but that goes again to the values, what's important to you. And I just wake up excited because I know it's not going to take me a really long time, because as you get into a rhythm, you realize you've kept up on it, and then it's not overwhelming anymore.
Wow. Deb, that's so good. Getting back to the core values. Yes. As we value it, as we seek to grow in our skill set and view it as something that is worth getting better at. It's worth it. It impacts the rest of your life. It's like your every single day, is impacted by the space that you live in. It impacts your family. It impacts your children. So yeah, it just seems like a no-brainer. Like, of course, why aren't we growing and increasing our skills in this? But for so many of us, it's just on the back burner. So hopefully this conversation, for me included, is bringing it to the foreground for all of us to just kind of reevaluate and take a step back and say, Lord, have I been faithful in this area? How can I grow in this area? How can I bless my family, care for them, and create a space that we all enjoy being in, that enables our relationships to thrive? That's a place of peace. There's so much chaos in the world. To have a space that you can come home to and have that sense of peace and just like that deep breath, that just sounds so amazing. But I think for us as women, we've got to kind of take the bull by the horns and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to start taking steps to make this happen. I want to look well to the ways of my household, like the Proverbs 31 woman. Yes, she had servants, but we've got Pinterest, we've got microwaves, we've got ovens, we've got crock pots, things she didn't have. We do have a lot of, quote, servants in that we have a lot of tools at our disposal, and it's just learning how to use them well, getting in routine systems, it sounds like. So thank you so much for all of your tips, for all of your wisdom. Again, tell us your Instagram, because I want everyone to go follow Deb. If you're like, this was so good, she gives you the visual, she shows you the step-by-step on the things we talked about with video. You can see what she's doing, and it's just really, really helpful. So go follow her on Instagram. Tell us your handle again.
It's the Deb VonBergen. So VonBee. Yes.
Okay. And I will link it below in the show notes, and also your website.
Yes. Your website is the same. The blonde bee. That came out totally wrong. The blonde bee. Yes.
Theblondebee.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll link that as well below. Follow her on Instagram. And also, guys, I just want to say if you're like, man, I want to grow just in general in my understanding of God's design for the woman, his heart for womanhood, the complementarian roles between the man and the woman, then I encourage you guys to grab a copy of Girl Defined, our first book here at Girl Defined, because it's the foundation. If you're like, yes, I can get, I can latch on to these skills. If you just have the skills, but you don't have the heart, or you don't understand, God's greater heart for womanhood, the beauty of our unique design to be able to bear life, just our unique role within the family. Like, it's amazing and so beautiful. And so grab a copy of Girl Defined over at girldefined.com, our website, any bookstore, get it free from the library. I don't care. I think you'll find that really encouraging as you understand more about God's design, that will fuel your passion for the way that you care for your home and family. So, Deb, thank you again for all these practical tips. It was
Yes.
so great having you on today.
Oh, thank you for having me.